Alright, what's up guys? So today we're going to be wrapping this 2024 Model 3 Performance, and this video is basically just going to teach you how to wrap a car simply, and we're also going to go over how to disassemble a Tesla to make sure that you can get some of the edges wrapped a lot easier than you would without disassembling it. We're not going to be taking off the front bumper today. On this car, there's really not a need to, since the headlights are kind of flush with the body panels, so I find that unnecessary. But besides that, we're going to take out the cameras and the taillights, and that's really like the big pain points of this car, where you need to take them out, otherwise your wrap's just not going to turn out. And also I want to say big shout out to Ravuni Vinyl for sponsoring this video. The wrap that I'm putting on this car is the Ravuni Gloss Laser Pink, which you can see on the hood of the car. This wrap is part of their Plus series, and it basically is a color shifting film. It has an iridescent color shift.
Alright, so now we're going to be taking off the side repeater camera. To do this, we're going to need to put on a piece of painter's tape so that we do not damage the paint. And once you put on a piece of painter's tape, the goal is to slide it under the camera. And then I used a flathead screwdriver because I did not have a plastic pry tool. But basically you're going to stick it under the lens, and you're going to be looking for a clip. And as you can see, I just hit the clip. But basically you just kind of push up and you will hear the camera pop out, and then from there the camera just completely lifts out, and then there'll be two little plugs. One of the plugs, you'll pull that red tab out and the clips pull right out, and the other one you have to pull the red tab out on this clip, and then you're going to want to push down on that little blue piece, and this whole piece will come out all in one piece. Make sure that you do not pull too hard. You can break these.
Alright guys, to remove the taillight housing on the Model 3 so you can wrap this part a little bit better, we're going to be having to take off your rear, the carpet liner thing here, and that it just comes off with clips, so you can just find a good spot. I started right here with the screwdriver, and then you just pull it off. It comes right off. Be careful not to let it drop though, because there is a cable right here.
Alright, to remove this cable, all you have to do is pull it out. There's no locking switch or anything, just pull it out.
So there's going to be a carpet liner right here, and basically that just pulls off, and that will reveal some screws. So two of the screws will be right here, and then one right here. You'll have two screws right here, and then there will also be
Step 1 is going to be cleaning the panel that you're working on. I like to use 91% isopropyl alcohol, and I just do a little bit on a rag and just wipe down the panel. Usually you don't have to do this step like too thoroughly, but since my car is previously wrapped, I have to make sure I get rid of all the adhesive. Don't forget guys to get your bottom of your rocker panel, and to make sure to get under your wheel well. That is probably the most dirty spot on your car, and if you do not clean that spot, the wrap will fail because it will come up on the edges. Alright, so now step 2 is going to be measuring the panel. So for this, make sure you put your measuring tape on the farthest end of the car and measure to the other farthest end. You want to make sure you go from end to end. So now we can see that this panel is 52 inches, so I'm going to add about another 2 to 3 inches and probably cut at 54. Once I got inside, I actually cut at 55. Alright, so now we're going to be laying this piece of vinyl onto the panel that we're wrapping. For this, whenever you're doing it alone, you can peel off a corner and tack it down, and then you're going to kind of want to walk back with the backing paper while sticking it to the car. Don't worry about the wrinkles. You can go back and get rid of those. Now, if you're doing this with a friend, I'd recommend just completely peeling the backing sheet off and both of y'all pulling and just glassing the film over the panel. But as you can see, I've gotten the panel laid down now. Alright, so now that the panel's laid, I'm going to try to get rid of some of these wrinkles and glass it myself. So to do this, you just kind of start on one side and work your way over. I like to pull in the opposite directions of my hands to give the good stretch and make it wrinkle free, but don't stretch too much because you will discolor your film. So what I like to do is set down a spot in the middle and tack the vinyl down so I can pull up the film and get rid of these wrinkles. I take off the protective film because I like it to stretch more, but not everyone does that because you could scratch the vinyl, but I was not worried about scratching it because heat will get rid of small scratches. Now I'm lifting up the vinyl and I'm going to start glassing it. This will help the squeegeeing process go a lot better. Make sure you work from the middle out whenever you're glassing the film to get rid of these wrinkles because you don't want to work towards the middle. If you work towards the middle, you're going to end up with a big crease and you won't have a way to get that out. But basically just take your time, work through the wrinkles, and use heat if needed. Now we're going to tuck this corner. So the first thing you want to do is heat it up, and then I like to press it in to make sure you get all the way around that corner. This is a lot easier whenever you have a panel that opens like a door or hood. But basically just cut, and you're going to cut on the far edge of the panel you're doing. So right now I'm doing the front fender, and notice how I'm cutting along the door. Right here we're going to continue cutting along the headlight because that is the far edge of the front fender. And we're just going to do this cut all the way around the front fender until we have a smooth panel with an untucked edge. Now that we have everything cut, we're going to use our wrap glove to tuck this vinyl behind the wheel well liner. The way I like to do this is I like to heat it up and I like to slowly work my way down the whole entire vinyl. I do not like to fold it and drag the hard fold. I like to kind of slowly crease it along the curve. And then if the vinyl's long enough, I like to tuck it behind the wheel well liner just to make it a little bit more secure. Here you can see me tucking it behind the wheel well liner. This will allow the vinyl to not get water behind it in some of those dangerous spots. Now we're going to use our squeegee to tuck it where the headlight is because this is too tight of a gap to use a wrap glove on or your fingers. So the way I like to do this is just apply heat and use a squeegee and just make sure you get a really nice tuck. Also, do not forget to post heat it. If you do not post heat it, it will start peeling up in the sun. Since this front fender is connected to the hood, we can pop the hood so that we get a nice smooth tuck right here and it'll be very unnoticeable. Notice I'm doing the same thing where I'm working the tuck down. I'm not doing a hard crease along the whole way. I'm slowly creasing it the whole entire time I'm going. Now when you're wrapping, you will come into situations like this where you have a hard crease inside of your vinyl. All you have to do is just lift up the vinyl and heat it up and this crease will come right out. Your vinyl is not ruined, your panel is not ruined. So you're going to hold tension and heat it up. Don't pull too much tension because you don't want to overstretch this. And now that you have your film glassed, you can just work your way back up with the squeegee and it'll come back out good as new. Now we're going to be using knifeless tape. Some cars you won't need knifeless tape, but for this one we need knifeless tape because this is a hard edge and you're not going to be able to do this trunk lid in one piece. Even without the spoiler, it's too much of a curve right there on that lip. So we're going to wrap this bottom piece first because the wind will be blowing against it if we did the bottom piece last, and that would slowly peel back the vinyl. To undo the knifeless tape, you just pull the edge and then you'll grab this little pink strip, wrap it around your finger, and just kind of you want to do a little jerk. And then once you do your jerk, you slowly pull it throughout the vinyl. Now that we've made our cut with our knifeless tape, we'll pull off the knifeless tape holder, which is the green stuff that you're seeing in this video, and make sure to lay down this edge. Now we have to apply knifeless tape over the edge. I like to do it where the edge of the green is going along the side of where we've made a previous cut. And then you'll just wrap your top piece and do the same thing again where you pull it off. I also want to give a big shout out to Ravuni for sponsoring me this roll of vinyl from their Plus series. If you're interested in trying to wrap yourself at home, I would highly recommend this brand. You can get it down in the link in the description. Use code Barney at checkout and you can get 12% off your order.